It's Dragon Ball time! Hello and welcome to another figure review. Today we're going to have a look at the SH Figuarts Chi-Chi figure. Continuing the Dragon Ball line and giving us a Chi-Chi figure for the first time. This is a premiere for the SH Figuarts line. And a very cool idea. I like the design. It's something completely different, something that comes out of left field, but a necessary addition to the Dragon Ball line. So, let's have a look. Very basic figure, but I have a couple of things I want to go through, like the size. She stands about 10 centimeters to the top of the hat, or a little over 11 if you're going to the top of her helmet blade, which means 4 inches for the head and 4.5, a little over that. For the blade, size comparisons, Figma Jolter, SH Figuarts Kid Goku, further proving that this Goku is out of scale. He's just a tiny bit too big. Mega House Chi-Chi, there was one in this design but I didn't get it. And Stone Collectibles Dark Side. Now, as I was saying, this is a very basic figure, and to be fair, SH Figuarts nailed it. They didn't do any mistakes. First and foremost, I love the face sculpt. Have the big round black eyes, really iconic. Oh, the classic Dragon Ball. Got a couple of strains in the black hair, and it's really just dark black hair. No extra added shading or whatever, and that's fine. That's how it should look. You got the pink helmet, which I don't really like how it's assembled on the side here, especially since it doesn't completely line up in some places. The black lines in there are cleanly painted for the most part. There's a bit of white, actually a big smudge of white going over the line, unfortunately. And then you got the blade on top of the helmet, which is removable. You can throw it if you choose to do so. So you have that bit kind of counted, could count it as accessory. And then we got the body mold, which again, you have some kind of bleeding, well, not really bleeding, more like going over the line with the white over there. You got the more shiny black spots in there and more white, small bleeding. In the torso area, I'm gonna go and look at the cape also, which is weird. It's just, what? It's not a cloth cape, it's kind of like a weird plastic cape which you can't really move or whatever. So it's just, I don't know, it feels cheap. I guess you could kind of bend it, but that will probably leave some bends in it, some lines in it, so I wouldn't recommend that. Also, there's a butt mode, which is just questionable, a little bit too much detail. Also, the way it's molded, it really kind of wants to get out of the ponzu. It's really hard to get that back in there. As soon as you move it around, this happens, and that's not flattering in the slightest. So then getting that back in and sticking it in, having it staying in is not the easiest thing in the world. Then you got the pink gloves, which are shiny, look a bit more rubbery, that's fine. That's what they do correctly. And then we got some more white lines, which, I don't know, okay, 55 bucks, right? This figure is very small, very basic. We'll get to the accessories, but I guess I gotta get to the point where, you know, this is like 55 bucks on Macbeth Toy Store, or depending on where you get it. I paid actually a lot more of it for it locally, like 70. And I don't, it's a simple figure, and you still have bleeding and whatnot. So in this regard, it's just like, I am a little bit more harsh, and I'm taking a closer look at the paint than I probably usually would, because I don't really see why this figure costs that much, but we'll have another talk about that later. For your articulation, the head tilts side to side, does move forward, doesn't really go, well, it does go to the back as far as the hair lets it, and you would get it all the way around. I just wouldn't push it too far, because you might break off the shoulder pads. Those are just connected to the shoulder itself, which no ball or whatever. I mean, it does stay on there, but again, I'm actually afraid you might rip it off if you're being a little bit too brutal with it. Then you got nice shoulder rotation over here, the big ball hinge that goes into another ball, and you can bring that forward quite a bit to the back and up and down, rotation, swivel on there. Then you got a ball hinge in the elbow and another ball hinge in the fist, back, forward, rotation. Chest area, actually also very nimble. Good job of that. It doesn't look like it would do a lot. And then we get to the weird lower torso piece, which does go forward a lot, but obviously does not look natural. I can't really move it forward entirely. Like it is just on a ball pack, but it kind of just leans more to the back. and you can't really lean. I mean the piece itself, and you can't really lean it back that much because of the weird bump mode. And as I was saying, now getting this back in is kind of a nightmare. There you go, got that back in, and then it moves to the back, leaves some gap. I mean, I don't really hate it that much because obviously you only have this small pantsu, which I didn't really do, but it's pantsu time. I don't know, it's just like kind of, it doesn't feel right with this one, I don't know. Leg moves forward, leg moves out to the side, legs move to the back, does leave a gap, but again, you only have the small pantsu covering everything, so there's gonna be some gaps regardless. Can rotate this around, ball hinge in the knee, and the foot is on another ball hinge, so you can rotate that side to side, forward, back, and a toe hinge. Also interesting to note that they added some ball hinges in the side hair overall, so you can bring that back and forth, rotate it around a little bit. It's nothing too special, but still a neat added articulation feature. For your accessories, you got a bunch of faces. You got the angry yelling face, which is awesome, I like that one. And then the open eyes, still yelling face. And then the happy blushing face. For your hands, you got one pointy finger, two open hands, and two kind of hands where she fires the beam out of her helmet. And then you got actually there's a Dragon Ball, 2-star Dragon Ball. And then you got a base. Yes, they did deliver a base with this figure. I have no idea why they did that. It might have something to do with the price point, but yeah, you get a complete base with a tiny arm, which I don't. It's cool. I don't want to hate the fact that I got a base, but there's not really a need for it. She stands perfectly on her own, and yeah, base. And it already is gonna bring me to the final thoughts because there's not really much more to discuss with this figure. Now, I like this figure. It's cute, it's a good representation of Chi-Chi, and the paint job is good for the most part. The articulation is simple, but you know, it's not really that much you can do with such a small figure. If you add too many joints and whatnot, it will just look ugly. And I think it does a perfectly fine job. Now, obviously, the problem I have is what I've already talked about. The price point. I honestly do not understand why this one has to cost over 55 bucks. We got some basic Goku figures where SH Figuarts were like, hey, here's another Goku. We know it's just another Goku, but hey, you know what? We're not gonna do anything super special with it, but he's just gonna be like 30 bucks or something. Why didn't they do that with Chi-Chi? It's a small figure and there's really nothing special about it other than the base, and I feel like that's kind of the excuse of like, hey, you might feel like it's a bit more expensive, but you get a base, and I'm like, cool, but I don't feel like I need a base. Just saying. So, I mean, overall, I'm saying, figure itself, price aside, I think the figure's good. I just wish it was a little bit less pricey. And I like 30-40 bucks, no problem, no argument from me, but 50 and over, I don't know. Why? Just because of a base? So, still recommend it, but still a bit salty about the price. That's pretty much it. That's gonna do it, guys. As usual, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this review, hit it up with a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more figure reviews, content and stuff, and whatever Chi-Chi wants. Better price point.